Okay, Dr. Michael Mantell, we are live once again for a conversation on LinkedIn, which I always appreciate having with you. So thank you for being here.
It is a joy and a true privilege to be on anywhere with you. So thank you for thinking of me, and particularly to talk about a topic that obviously is near and dear to my heart, my life, my career, my profession.
Yes, it certainly is who you are at your core. That's my bird chiming in on our
Here.
conversation today. But Michael, your resume is like miles and miles long. So I think I'll just introduce you as a psychologist or psychiatrist.
Well, retired. I retired from clinical psychology about years ago. And I'm that's why my resume is so long.
But this is one of those professions where, having been in it for 50-ish years, whatever it is, it just gives you so much more gravitas, knowledge, wisdom, insights, and that's what I love about every time I'm around you, whether it's in person, we work together and do talks together, or online. You always have so much to share, and so.
Thank you. Someone said to me very recently, I was being interviewed, and she said, "You've had a long and rich career." And I said, "I'm sorry, did you say I had?" I'm not done. I've turned my clinical work into coaching work and continue to do all this stuff. What do you mean I had? And she said, "Oh, can we take two?"
Yeah, you are one of the busiest people that I know, and that's one of the questions I want to ask you. So our conversation today is leading up to Monday, which is the World Health Organization's Mental Health Day. And so let's talk about mental health. And why are you still one of the busiest doctors on the planet? And maybe you can give us a little insight from when you started until where you are today, sort of the state of mental health in 2022.
Okay. Big question. The World Mental Health Organization, the World Health Organization is, of course, having Monday be the World Mental Health Day. September, as I said before we went on, September was Suicide Prevention Month. October is National Depression Education and Awareness Month. When you think about it, the World Health Organization is focused on mental health. There is no health without mental health. And the theme of their program, is making mental health and well-being for all a global priority. There was a study done very recently that found that 90% of adults believe there's a mental health crisis. And there is. Think about this. September was suicide prevention. October is depression awareness. But wait, aren't these reversed? Shouldn't we be focusing on depression and then suicide? We'll talk about that in a moment. More than 50% of people in our country will have some kind of a mental health issue. 1 in 5 are going to have some serious mental health issue. 1 in 5 kids also. So this is indeed a very serious issue. We screen for anxiety. We should be screening for depression. There's a questionnaire that physicians use called the PHQ-9 that they want people to be screened for anxiety, but we need to be doing this for depression. Very few people are getting adequate care. There's not enough mental health professionals. Insurance and finance is a problem. And so we need people to step up to the plate and be a help. Mental health includes our psychological, our emotional, our physical well-being, our social well-being. It affects the way we live our life. And it's not just one of 200 or more diagnoses. So I went into this field in the early 1970s with a deep desire to help people. And I remember when I was at the University of Pennsylvania, where I got my Ph.D., telling my colleagues in psychology, if you want to be psychiatrists, if you want to be giving medication, go to medical school. But don't have this white coat drooling syndrome. We help people undisturb themselves. We help people unupset themselves by helping them go to the core of what creates most emotional distress. And that's the way we think, what we tell ourselves. What am I thinking about this situation that's leading me to feel the way I am? Not, that's making me upset. He got me angry. That made me depressed. I'm going to take a pill. Pills are necessary. But even with medication, we need to look at helping people refuse to make themselves miserable by the way they think. Now I can go on. I'm going to let you pick up on this.
Yeah. And Christine Clinton, a global wellness friend of mine, says, yes, screening for children. She works a lot with children and mindfulness and well-being. And let's maybe talk about that a little bit more, about at what age should we be screening for depression or anxiety, or talking with children about that? And what is a good way to sort of have that conversation?
Well, I don't believe it's ever too soon to be understanding what people are, listen carefully, what people are not saying to us. A loving parent hears what her or his son, daughter, or whatever are not saying. We hear what people don't say when we're tuned in. So the answer is, I believe that as young as 2 years old, I mean, even younger, we see children upset. We see a 1-year-old crying. We say, oh, come here, honey, what's the matter? The 5-year-old doesn't want to get out of bed, doesn't want to eat, throws things. The 10-year-old steals, plays with matches, punches the cat. The 15-year-old doesn't put the device down, is lost in who knows what, experimenting with medication. It is developmental, and I'm not going to go through all the specific symptoms, but we do need to have an eye out from early life through to the end of the trail.
And let's talk about the social media. You just mentioned the 15 or 18-year-old who can't get off their devices. How do we start to balance this a little bit better? This new generation is the first to really never know life without devices, to never not have the fear of missing out from scrolling social media, from comparing their life to everyone else's highlight reel. Like, how can we just day to day manage our teenagers, or even, our kids who are in their 20s or whatever? How can we help people balance social media a little bit better?
Well, I think the obvious things are things like agreements. Notice I didn't say rules, because today when you say rule, boom, people push back. Kids push back. You can't tell me what to do. So they're in agreement. So have the family, and if there's a family, a parent and a child, if it's just a parent and a child, or whatever it might be, roommates, all agree at least 3 times a day when we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if we do that together, or whatever number of times we have mealtime, we put the phone away. You and I speak at some great resorts and retreat centers in the world. Rancho La Puerta is one. And when you check in, they give you a little bag. I wish I had it. I could show it to you. It's your cell phone bag. Yeah. You're supposed to put your cell phone away. And in fact, they don't even have Wi-Fi, except in one place on their magnificent campus. The idea is let's put our cell phones away and be with each other. Being present is part of our emotional dilemma today. Much of what we teach people when they're overcoming anxiety, the future worry, depression, a past concern, is let's get our head where our feet are. Excuse me, I just need to take this one thing. No, you're not here now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think agreements are one thing. I think talking to our youngsters about how we enjoy being with them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go outside play some catch. Let's go for a walk. Let's do something together. If parents aren't going to do something with a child, the child, of course, is going to turn to this.
Yeah.
So it starts with the parent, as it always has since time began.
True. And I feel like this is also where the mindset, it's such a big piece of the puzzle for mental health. And that's where breath for me comes in, because they say that the mind follows the breath. And so, as you know, I feel like I'm always trying to advocate, just reminding people, like you said, 3 times a day, maybe just to pause, close their eyes so they actually set a boundary from those devices and go inward. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about the power of going inward, about being self-aware, and because I feel like most people never go inward these days. We're always just paying attention. Our devices dictate where our attention goes, the notifications, the pop-ups, the constant distractions. And so can you offer some advice for people to spend a little bit more time going inward?
Well, so the title of my last book is called The Link is What You Think. Mm-hmm. Very quickly, up in this corner, we have an event. Something happened. Someone did something, didn't do something, whatever. You got terminated, you got broken up, the finances, something happened. Down here, you have a bag of emotions. And human beings basically have 3 kinds of emotions. We have a bucket of depression, from suicidal depression to joy and happiness. Then we have a bucket of anxiety, from frozen panic to tranquility and relaxation, the way you look on your LinkedIn posts walking on the beach. And then we have a bucket of anger, from homicidal rage, as we see today, increasing and increasing and increasing, all the way to love and admiration and respect and kindness. And every emotion falls somewhere in there. Watch. We believe erroneously that events make us feel this way. What she said got me so. Oh, what he didn't do, I thought he should have done it. It was terrible. I couldn't stand it. It made me so worried. Events don't make us anything. What we think about those events, that's what determines what we feel. When I was a kid, long before something called ADHD, mm-hmm. or minimal brain dysfunction, even before ADHD, my mother would say to me, Michael, pay attention. That was long before meditation or breath work or be inward. Pay attention. Where do these emotions come from? They don't come from out there. They come from in here. Mm-hmm. What I think about events, that's what determines. So if I want to change what I feel and how I behave and act, mm-hmm. how can I be anywhere else but in my breath, in what I think about events? Where else can I be? Should I be screaming at the traffic outward? No. Maybe I need to take a deep breath or 3. And you're the expert on that. I'm not. And say to myself, this is the nugget takeaway. Mm-hmm. What am I thinking about this that's making me feel this way? That's inward. I don't believe you need robes and incense and sitting cross-legged and an hour, 3 hours a day of deep meditation. Ask yourself the simple question. What in the world am I telling myself about that's making me feel this way?
Mm-hmm.
That's where breath work is so integrated into paying attention to what's going on. I think of breath work as the doorbell. It opens the door.
Mm-hmm. And do you think people underestimate the power of their thoughts, or do you think that people just don't realize that we can really influence our nervous system? And breath is one of those ways, but also taking a walk in nature or being with a friend or a loved one and talking. And so all of these different modalities, do you feel like people are just underestimating it? And do you think social media has exacerbated that because we are addicted to just sort of feeling like numb from scrolling and all of that, rather than taking responsibility and shifting our mindset through any number of modalities?
This is why you're a great interviewer.
Oh, thank you.
You are. You really are.
Thank
You ask a very key question. I think people are sloppy thinkers. We tend to be sloppy thinkers. I tell myself every day, Michael, you aren't special. You're not exempt from adversity. Accept it. Now, I've been doing this for, like, as you say, 50 years. So why am I telling myself this? Why do I still tell myself this every day? Because nobody becomes a world-class athlete at peak performance without continuous practice. But I think many people don't buy that. They believe, no, she made me, it got me, whatever. We hear that. Listen, you'll hear that. I got so upset.
you.
Oh my God, it made me so nervous. And people are sloppy. They blame the outside. I think another thought that mentioned social media is this. If you Google breath work, do you know how many hits we'll come up with?
Mm-hmm.
My gosh.
Yeah.
It's so confusing. Well, who was it? Mark Twain, who said, be careful what you read in a health book. He didn't say blog then, but a health
Right.
book, because you could die of a misprint.
Yeah.
Because this one says this one says this one says this. People go, oh, the hell with it. I'm just going to do it. I think people, I have what I call cut to it coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of 1 and 2 session coaching sessions, because the word therapy is a word I'm no longer comfortable with. I rather believe in psychological education. So in 1 or 2 sessions, I teach people the power of what they think about events, controlling what they feel. Change what you think, you change what you feel. Breath work, as I like to say, is the door knock. It opens the door. But I don't think people have stopped to really appreciate it. Has social media distracted us? For sure. But even in social media, where people talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
people are not stopping.
True.
You know, when I was a kid, Sandy, when I was a kid in school, and I grew up in Newark, New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
later moved to West Orange, New Jersey. But in elementary school, we used to have to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation. And then we used to have to sing, My Country 'Tis of Thee. Now, okay, whatever. Can you imagine if in school we started, okay, before we begin, everyone, sit down. We're going to take 3 or 4 deep breaths. And they put a video of Sandy Abrams up on the screen in every school in America. And Sandy was teaching children from the age of kindergarten the importance of breath work.
It's happening. It's happening today with people like Christine Clinton, who's listening to our conversation, and Goldie Hawn. I've worked with her Mind Up Foundation, which is very popular in thousands of schools. And so I am happy to say that finally, over the past just several years, I feel like breath work is one of those things that is being integrated, because I think it's now being scientifically proven a little bit more, like, research is catching up
Mhm.
to this modality that's been around for thousands of years. But I think that it's a great piece of the puzzle to supplement what you talk about all the time. This is one of the reasons I go on LinkedIn every day, is like to see what you're saying, because it is like in the moment inspiration to help me rethink something or shift my perspective. Because this is not, I haven't mastered breath work. I've been doing it for 30 some odd years, but this is what I love about it. Same as what you love about psychology, that every day it's a resource for us. It's a tool, because every day is different. And there are challenges and problems and issues as a spouse, as a parent, as a daughter, as a citizen, as a friend. And so that's what I want to encourage people who are listening to this now or later, whenever they're listening, that none of us ever master all of these tools. We're trying to encourage people to find new ways in small moments throughout the day to sort of feel better, to think better. And, there's no on-off switch in our mind where we can say, yeah, I don't like the way I'm feeling a little depressed or anxious. And I'm not talking about people who are clinically diagnosed. I'm just talking about the normal person who's maybe trying to manage stress. There's no on-off button, but you can go out for a walk. You can have a cup of tea. You can meet a friend. All of these things. So also, like, your LinkedIn posts are such a wealth of information. And I've been meaning to ask you, you often quote someone, is it Dr. Ellis? And I would
Albert
Albert
Ellis,
Ellis. I'd love to know,
Ellis. Yeah.
who is he and how did he inspire you?
Oh my. Well, I was very blessed. By the way, remind me to tell you about a talk I gave at V La Jolla.
Okay.
In terms of these small little bits. I'm going to forget it, but because I'm talking about Albert Ellis, I light up. Albert Ellis founded rational emotive behavioral therapy in the early 1950s. Later, it built upon by Aaron Beck at the University of Pennsylvania. It was called cognitive behavioral therapy. I was blessed to be able to learn from Albert Ellis directly, and then later at the University of Pennsylvania from Aaron Beck. And so I am steeped in Al Ellis's approach. He just understands the basis of emotional distress. He wrote many books, but one of my ones I suggest often is How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, Yes, Anything. He was bombastic and he cursed. I don't know. He once said to a nun in a group that he said, "When are you going to get out of your effing habit?" Everyone looked like, because she was wearing a nun's habit. And everyone, oh my God, what did he just say to her? Oh my God. He didn't mean this habit. He meant the habit of her sloppy thinking. So Al Ellis built much of what he believes on Stoic philosophy. That Epictetus said, the Greek philosophy said, people are not disturbed by outside things or events, but rather they disturb themselves by what they think about those outside events. And that's what all cognitive behavioral therapy, which today has become the gold standard of all care, of all therapy and coaching, that's what it's built on. And so, I quote him all the time in every session. If a session goes by and a client of mine says, "Gee, doctor, Mantell, you didn't quote Al Ellis today," I know we have a good rapport. So let me tell you about this discussion about V La Jolla. V La Jolla is a continued care retirement community, very, very upscale, among the leading retirement communities in America. There are, I think, 10 of them around the country. And I do a lot of work with them. This is Active Aging Week from the International Council on Active Aging, and I'm on the Science Advisory Board. So they had me come in Monday of this week, and Monday, whenever, I'm confused, Monday of this week, to kick off the International Council on Active Aging. And I gave my talk, and the gentleman in the audience talked about little things. He said, "Dr. Mantell, why don't you talk about the importance of letting go?" I stopped dead in my tracks. I said, do you follow me on LinkedIn or Facebook? Or he said, I don't even, what is the face talk? What? Face Twitter? What? Face talk, linked chat? I don't know what that is. And he was so kind. And I said, well, I don't believe in little coincidences. Today, that day, Monday, I posted all about the importance of letting go. I said, do you see that we have a connection? And he didn't see it. But I know, Sandy, you see things that the world doesn't see. We need to practice seeing the Wi-Fi beams that connect us. It's not an accident that we're connected in life. And by I say we, I don't mean necessarily you and me, Sandy. I mean us and whoever's watching this. It's not, when you really enliven your life and you see these connections, you fill your heart with gratitude. You're going to be more active physically. You're going to take care of yourself more. And you're going to wake up every day with that first thought of gratitude. And that is what helps our mental health condition.
Do you think that people mistake the connections online? Like we don't get the same hormonal feelings from connecting online, right? That we do with having lunch or coffee with someone or taking a walk.
No, that's true. We don't, which is why it's so easy to hit like and move on. Like, okay, like, and I try to hit the heart or the care sign if I'm going to do anything. And I'm not perfect about it, far from it. We're all fallible human beings, you know, but I try as much as possible. If someone posts something, a vulnerability, I'll DM them or send them a note of something to deepen the connection. And I urge people, it's easy to hit the like and go on. It's meaningless. It doesn't register. So if you take what Sandy is suggesting, how can we deepen our connection? Well, we can deepen our connection by deepening our connection. Take the extra moment to say something to someone.
Yeah, good advice. Thank you. I'm looking through your posts on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I thought
what did I post today?
Let's see.
Oh, about ego, I think, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I've been going back in your posts. I want to just like throw something at you randomly. That's always a good. Let's see. Okay, so for example, I love your cut to it coaching.
Yeah.
You say anxiety leads to self-defeating behavior that harms your ability to problem solve and deal well with discomfort. Concern, on the other hand, frees your thinking and emotions, allowing you to healthily deal with discomfort and deal with life's inevitable challenges. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. If I want to reach and touch my computer screen, there's nothing between me and the computer screen. I reach and touch it. But if there's a barrier, I can't touch it. These are notes. So our mindset holds us back. Unhealthy, self-defeating, negative emotions hold us back. They create barriers. It's sloppy thinking. So a client said to me, you know, logically, I'm great, but emotionally, I'm all effed up. I said, well, that's interesting that you think you're great. She said, well, I have good self-esteem. I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. There's a cure for that. She said, what are you talking about? I said, well, you see, that's a block. That creates anxiety. What if I'm not great? And by the way, do you think you are great or you do great things? There's a big difference. Because if you have high self-esteem, it's conditional. And unhealthy thinking, this anxiety that the quote you took from, means, uh-oh, If I trip, then my value, my worth as a global human being decreases. And then I'm all twisted up about that. As opposed to, whoops, I made a mistake. Fallible, let me go on. And I keep going forward. One way of thinking holds us back and twists us up into thinking we are what we do.
Mm-hmm.
No. What we do and what we are two separate things. Here's a crazy example, and we're going to get pushback, but I don't care, whatever. Putin is threatening the world. Not a joke. This is a real serious threat. Is he a bad human being? He's a human being like you and me and everyone watching who does some remarkably bad things. So I was interviewed recently about what is mental illness. Is that a mental illness? Well, when the Diagnostic Statistical Manual first came out many, many years ago, it was like this thin. Now it's this thick, and it's growing. And there's the latest diagnosis, by the way, that just entered, is if you have a picture behind you that says "Breathe to Succeed," that's a new mental illness. And if you have books behind you and a crazy light over here, wherever it is, I can't point to it.
Yeah,
that's a. So, do you not believe mass murder is a mental illness? You've got to be mentally ill to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But does that mean the person is a bad person? No, there's a person who has mental illness. Long answer to your simple question. I'm so sorry. But I believe that anxiety, depression, anger cloud our ability. Last example. This couple's having a tremendous fight. And he called her filthy, dirty names. I'm canceling your credit cards. Get the hell out of here. And she said, I'm leaving. And I said, no. You're leaving out of anger. Let's come together. Let's make a rational agreement on the purpose of separating for a week to give you time to catch your breath and to have an appropriate separation. Because leaving like F you and it's not that, your mind is all clouded.
Yeah. Yeah, the responding versus reacting thing is, right. It's hard, but I think the good news is that, it's a choice. And again, this is not for people who have this clinical diagnosis, but just for mental wellness, mental fitness. I think having the self-awareness to know that we can override that feeling of anger if we just pause for a moment. If you're in a meeting and someone says something that either isn't true or hurts you or, something like that, it's like just to know that you have the power to pause and that you should pause and to rethink, because it is, again, not about putting that on someone else. It's about how you are going to respond to it. And that's what I think the good news is, that we can always rewire our brain, right? Even if somebody's had that negative dialogue in their own head for decade after decade, it's never too late to become allergic to it and become a little bit more mindful that when that voice starts again, that you can commit to saying, no, not going to listen to that. And how do you suggest someone then replaces that with a new thought? And should it be a new thought for a day or a week or a few months? How can we use your tools to shift mindset frequently? Because I think it's something that needs to be tweaked or recalibrated often.
Right, absolutely. Trauma is a major concern now. Anxiety, depression, trauma, and stress. Those are the four things that are flooding therapists and emotional coaches' offices and Zooms, overflowing us. That's it. Anxiety, depression, trauma. So trauma. Well, Dr. Mantell, when I was 7 years old, this happened to me, and it's constant to the book. Is it happening to you now? No. You are re-traumatizing yourself by what you're telling yourself today in 2022 about what happened in 1992. Yeah. So in answer to your question, one, the simple takeaway nugget is this question: what am I thinking that's making me feel this way? What am I thinking that's making me feel this way? Well, I'm telling myself that was a horrible, terrible, awful thing. It shouldn't have happened and I can't bear it. Is that true? That's the next question. Is what I'm thinking true? Like I need to get away. Is that true? Or are you just telling yourself that? So when you have rigid, extreme, non-flexible beliefs, this shouldn't have happened. It did, and therefore it's horrible and I can't stand it. What are you doing to yourself? So switch that many times a day. It's not once and that's all cured. You may have to take aspirin 3 times before the headache goes away. So tell yourself, wait a minute, do I really mean this shouldn't have happened? Or do I mean it would have been better if it didn't? Do I mean it's horrible? Or is it very bad? Do I mean I can't tolerate it or I don't like it? One set of beliefs will lock you up, and one set of beliefs will uncage your thinking and free you up. We do have that choice. Listen, about 20, the data is all over the place, but about 26% of the American public have a diagnosable mental illness. What about the other 3/4 of us who have aggravation? I'm frustrated. Oh my God, I'm worried. I'm concerned. This diagnosable clinical group, I'm not convinced does not have choice. I've worked with that group. There's choice even there. Now, in the most severe schizophrenia and so forth, maybe different. But let's not write off, because more people than realize have choice. And when you show them that, and they can ask that question, what am I thinking that's making me feel this way? And they can say, I'm making myself feel this. I'm thinking this, excuse me. And then you say, well, wait a minute, is that even true? Could there be another way to look at it? And people are motivated to do that. They wind up uncaging themselves and undisturbing themselves. But it's something that healthy people do continuously. So what if someone says to you, well, I did it yesterday. It didn't help. I say, did you brush your teeth yesterday? You had to brush your teeth again today. You ate this morning. What are you doing eating again? I mean, you already ate. Why should I have to eat again?
Great point.
I breathe. I have to keep breathing? Wait, I have to keep breathing all day long?
Yeah. It's a practice, but it is a gift that we can recalibrate. And I feel like if we keep ignoring stress, that then it does manifest into the physical manifestations that lead to disease. And so that's another thing I want to encourage with this conversation, is for people to become more self-aware of their stress, and then understand that by simply shifting their perspective or asking the Dr. Michael Mantell questions frequently throughout the day, that it is a way to manage stress. And not a day goes by that anybody doesn't encounter some sort of stress from someone somewhere.
Sandy, can I just interrupt, please? I'm not sure how much where we are with time. I think we have one more, but
We're
very quickly, I just want to comment about this stress. So many years ago, back in graduate school even, we were talking about stress. And it came to me one day, I said, we're talking about stress as if it's there, that is stressful. That is nothing more than a crooked diploma hanging on the wall. Oh my God, it just drives me crazy. It's so stressful. And then I have all these people to see, and then I've got to give this, and then I have so much. Oh my God, that is stressful. I know I'm way out there, but try this on. There's no such thing as stress until I define a situation as stressful. We can put an ambulance at the bottom of the hill, the finest ambulance on the planet, the best surgeons, the best everything down there. $50 million of investment of healthcare on the bottom of the hill. When people fall, boom, we got the best treatment. Or for $1,565, my cousin will put up a fence.
Yeah.
Stress is in the mind of the stress producer. We are our own stress producers, our own stress creators, the stars in the show, the directors, the producers, everything. We create it. So
And we can relieve it too.
we can redefine it. So, for example, a woman who's doing a wedding for her son tells me, "Oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I'm drinking. I'm taking more drugs. The stress of this wedding is killing me." Wait a minute. It's a wedding. You have 7 things you've got to do today. You may get to all of them. You may not. It doesn't define you. If you do, you don't. How are you thinking about this? What are you thinking that's making you feel this is stress? Well, it'll be terrible if I don't get to it. Will it? No, it's going to be unfortunate. It means you'll get to it tomorrow. Real quickly, a client of mine is getting a doctorate at Ivy League University in psychology. And she said, if I don't accrue my hours, I'm going to be a bum and a failure my whole life. I said, you will be? Wow. She said, yeah, this stress is killing me. She has to accrue hours. Fact. Stress, that comes from thinking she'll be a bum and a failure her whole life. Do you understand this? That's the way I look at stress.
Christine said, great examples. Michael, you are like one of the best storytellers around. I love it. And it reminds me of that quote, the Henry Ford quote, that like, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right.
Right.
And that, I think, is like full circle back to you and the fact that it's all in here, everything. And so I think it's empowering. I mean, I would like to end this conversation letting people know that like we do have a lot of influence, a lot of power over our nervous system and over our mental health and over our emotions and how we think and how we feel. And it's a gift that we can use every single day. We will never master it, but these tools will always be handy. And I think that we all use different tools at different phases of our lives. And so depending on what phase someone's in, whether they're a busy mom and they've got 3 kids and they're schlepping them all afternoon to places, maybe use the time while you're in the car to breathe, to think about your thoughts, to recalibrate your mindset. Like find little moments in your busy day, because no one's going to find the time to sit, and do meditation 3 times a day, 30 minutes at a time. Like, no, I think you and I are both about the quick, in the moment tools where you can shift immediately and not let the stress and the negativity build up both in your heart and in your head. So I would love for you to just sort of close out with any last advice or tidbits for people as we approach Monday, World Health Organization's World Mental Health Day, and how, any little last insights or advice, and then let people know where they can find you. And I would say definitely follow Michael if you're not on LinkedIn, because it's like destination inspiration for me daily. Thank you for all the free counsel that you give me and for your friendship. I am really grateful.
We are blessed to be in your circle of life. Real quickly, I would summarize like this. It's World Health, Mental Health Day on Monday, but let's make it every day. It sounds trite and whatever, but I mean it from my heart. Most people we know today are struggling. Listen and hear what they're not saying to you. Smile at the first 5 people you see every day. Now keep smiling all day, but especially at the first 5. Get physically active. Fill your heart with gratitude. See the Wi-Fi beams that connect. See how, like you were just talking about something and this person brought it up. Wow, that's it. You see the connection? Be as focused on giving to others and reaching out. I feel like we should be playing Louis Armstrong's "What a Wonderful World" right now. I see trees of green. What a wonderful world. I see people saying hi. They're really saying, "I love you." Yeah, but look at the smiles on our faces. This is health.
Yeah.
And the link is what you think. You can't escape it. Every tool on the market winds up with helping you change your thinking. I like to start with that. If people want to be in touch with me, they can follow me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. my email address. I have a most personal practice on the planet. I don't have anyone scheduling for me. I take my own calls. My wife does all the billing because I can't do math. She does that. But please be in touch at Dr. Mantell, DRMANTELL, all one word, no period, DRMANTELL at me.com. And I'll look forward to hearing from you if I can be of any help. I like to be people's coach in the pocket. So I answer text messages all day long. And again, honestly, it's a real privilege to be here with you, Sandy. This is phenomenal. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for all of your insights and advice. And I look forward to our next conversation and seeing you in person. So happy Mental Health Day on Monday. And thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
Take care.